art brings me in positions and in projects that I would have never expected.
Hey everybody, welcome to For the Record, a casual, mostly unedited conversation series presented by Grey Matter, where we talk to music heads about their stories and the music that makes them. I'm your host, McKeegan Voice. Today on episode 43, I chatted with Sébastien Devaud, the multidisciplinary artist who makes music as Agoria. Sébastien has collaborated with luminaries like Tricky, Nile Rodgers, and Carl Craig. In 2003, he helped launch the acclaimed and ongoing Nuit Sonore Festival in Lyon. He co-founded the label Infini 2 years later, and in 2016, he formed the label Sapiens Records, through which he still releases much of his music. He's also active in the arts and has been featured in exhibitions at London's Tate Modern and more recently at the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. Across his career, his mission has been to reconcile seeming oppositions, mitigating the sense of the other. From biological to digital, Web 2 to Web 3, to the constraints of time itself. We chatted about all of this. Hope you enjoy. Yeah, hey Sebastian, it's great to have you here.
My pleasure to be with you. So it's the morning for me. I'm just back from Ibiza, so sorry if my words are not that clear every minute, but we'll try to make it clear for everyone.
No worries. That's the best excuse to have, I think, for not having words. Just getting back from Ibiza. So yeah, at the beginning of all of these things, we like to start at the beginning and just hear a little bit more about your origins, where you're from, and when your relationship with music started.
I feel I was lucky that my dad was a huge fan of music. So every Sunday we were listening so much all kind of music. Could be like Magma, could be like Talking Heads, could be like African music, could be like also some classical music, because my mom was an opera singer. So we were just not able to listen music, just listen my mom like practicing. So I was really surrounded by music all my childhood, and my parents were doing a lot of parties. So quite early, I started to DJ for their own parties. So I think I was like maybe 10 or 11, and I was starting to, of course, I was not DJing, but my dad said, hey, put this one, this one, this one, this one. And then, party after party, I was getting more comfortable and doing the playlist myself for their own parties. So yes, I became a DJ quite young. And I think I was also educated to what we could call maybe good music, in a term like, I'm not saying there is music that is better than the other one, but for sure there are like bad and good music. So I was, I think, quite emancipated to listen all kind of stuff and very open-minded, which helped me then to dive into all kind of music and be like very versatile today. So I had like also a radio show when I was like 15 or 16 years old. I started to do this radio show like in the countryside in France, where like it was a very alternative radio. So that's why at 16 years old I could do this. But like I did it for like maybe 5 or 6 years, and every week I was like the show was named Mixture, and I was like playing mainly electronic music, mainly hardcore music, mainly art trance music. I think when we are like 16, 18, of course we go for the extreme most of the time. Not always, but most of the time we go quite extreme, like just like a statement. So so that's how I started with them. And then I started, of course, it was the time where Detroit music was starting to be very cool. So I mean, Detroit music has always been good, but let's say electronic Detroit music.
Right.
So through Underground Resistance, Carl Craig, Mad Mike, Derek May, all this, Kevin Saunderson, of course, Inner City, which was the first that I bought. All this music were everywhere on mainstream radio, actually. And I started to dive into this, and yeah, that's how I started, I think.
Yeah, cool. I'm curious if you could take us, into those playlists that you were making when you were like 11 years old, and DJing your parents' parties. I mean, do you remember what some of the music was that you were putting on those?
Yeah, it could be very disco, could be because of course it was a party, so it was not so much the moment to listen to classical stuff, but
Right.
yeah, it was mainly disco, I think, and it could be like ABBA stuff, it could be like a Boney M, it could be like a um, Ceron, or it could be like this kind of music. I'm not sure if it's Ceron actually that was that early, but yeah, that was the kind of tracks that we could play.
Cool. And then yeah, I know if memory serves, the once Detroit, electronic music started to filter, into your world is when you started to organize raves and parties in like the countryside where you were, right?
Yeah, I mean, rave parties were very exciting because it was just an info line and a flyer in a record shop. And like, basically, we had no clue where the party would take place, if it would be like in a factory, if it would be like in just in fields outside, or abandoned warehouse. We had no clue where could be the event. Also, we had no clue if it would be close to our city, or if it was like 2 hours of car, 3 hours of car. Sometimes we ended doing like 3 hours of cars, arriving, the police was there, forbidding the party. So we were just 6 hours driving for nothing. But this excitation was fantastic because we didn't know who was the DJ. We didn't know nothing, just an info line, and the fact that maybe we've been one or twice to one of these um, rave organized by a kind of a typical promoter that we follow. So so yeah, and then I got the virus from that point, because the unknown is a fantastic virus. Looking for the unknown is something that I think that, on top of my love for the electronic music, that was the main thing that put me really attracted by this. Is we had no clue where we would dive, where we would drive, where we would, and then how long we would stay in this event, and that was
Hmm.
also, we were meeting so many cool people. At that time, nobody was looking to DJ.
Mm.
When the rave parties, nobody was looking. Nowadays, is everyone with the phone looking for an artist, but um, at that time, nobody cared. And the DJ was playing music. It was just like one of us playing music, and people were dancing in all sort of way everywhere in the room. The lights, decoration was as much important as the DJ, and yeah, this atmosphere was really unique.
Hmm.
Sounds nostalgic, but
I guess it is a bit, but it still happens. So, we can still live this. Um,
I think it's very difficult today to be in a party where people are not dir- on the direction of the DJ. I don't think it. I, I have a concept of party that I will try to do, like by the end of the year next year, like the pitch black party, where everything is um, there is no light at all. Maybe just few flash here and there, but no light at all. No phones. Means like even at the bar you have no light. Even the CD player will be hidden. Like no light at all. I think you will experience the music. You will experience the party very differently. Um, that just being in, even if it's dark, it's not dark. It's black. Like
hmm.
your eyes need to be um, trained after 1 or 2 hours, and you will start to see things. Actually, I love that.
Yeah, cool. I love that idea. Do you know where you're gonna do it?
We started chatting about this thing. I don't know yet where, but I really like this idea where the music and the way you feel the music, and also the DJ, me and my guests, we will all play differently,
Mm.
because there is this kind of introspection that the DJ miss, I think, sometime at the moment, because you of course you play for a crowd, of course you interact with the crowd, but it's becoming too much of a gimmick now. And I like the fact that when you play, the artist is in introspection, and so all the people in the room too, with less expectations for some drops or for some highlights, and you will vibe very differently, I think.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, I mean, what was coming to mind when you were talking about how it's changed, from DJs being kind of a party facilitator to being more like, the person at the center of the party. you know, thinking of more of like a house party vibe, you know, that is being DJ'd by somebody, but it's you know, it's a house party first and foremost. You know, there is somebody playing music, and like kind of reorienting our perspective towards something like that, or like changing the name or something, even orienting it as, you know, as like a house party or something is orienting it more towards this. You're here to have fun, you're here to have party and be with people. There will also be music, you know. Makes, you know, maybe that puts it more on equal footing. I wonder if that, you know, speaks to like, you know, the idea that you have, or if it's like more focused as like a uh you know, as like a rave in the dark.
I'm not sure I really understood what was the comparison between the rave and what.
Between the rave and like having a house party, you know, like a house party that is
Ah,
being thrown by friends, that is DJ'd,
in
but
in rave parties, you could listen to house music. I mean,
yeah.
even if like the image of rave, it became more like free party, so a bit hardcore and extreme, but no, there were a lot of parties that were house parties where you could listen all kind of music. And um I don't know if it was your question, but yes, I like parties where actually there is a trip where you can start with ambient and chill out. And
Mm,
nowadays, most of the time, every single DJ try to tend to show how famous and how cool he is by making every hands in the air, even very early, which actually sucks because the party doesn't need this at midnight. And I think it's, you always need to build something. If the energy is too, um, let's say, too heavy at the beginning of a party, the party itself will be heavy and it become a bit like flat. And emotion most of the time come from frustration.
mm.
So if you manage to play with the expectations, play with the timing, and play with the crowd, then the emotion will be bigger than just banger after banger.
Yeah, totally. I agree. You know, coming back to the unknown again, like when you can catch people off guard and do something unexpected, and like that's, you know, what really creates the moments. Um, yeah, speaking of the unknown, I'm curious if you know, if you could talk a little bit about your, you know, you've always been someone who's been very interdisciplinary and, you know, wanting to cross, you know, the thresholds, not just between artistic mediums, but kind of across the board, between art and science, between Web 2 and Web 3, between digital and physical. Um, and I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about when, you know, that started to manifest in you, when you started to realize you were really interested you know, in this idea, and when you started to recognize it as something that you wanted to pursue.
um I think I've always been very curious in terms of a relationship and meeting people. One of the most beautiful thing of being a DJ touring is you meet a lot of people, very very diverse kind of personalities and backgrounds and stories. And I had a chance to meet amazing people, like could be a philosopher, could be a shaman, could be a scientist, could be like I had a chance to meet so many people who were also passionate about partying and music that I built some relationship with people that over the years, uh, me becoming also a bit more mature, and I had the chance to spend night just thinking with them and having like forward thinking and and planning stuff. And then I think the COVID really helped me in a way, if I'm sincere. I already started to do art before that, but the COVID was really a point where, okay, I had a year and a half where I couldn't tour much. And so I could really dive into, okay, what are the projects that really I want to develop now? And so we started to do like film about like hemp microorganism, film about what's happening in your brain before you take a decision, um, many different, also many projects that didn't finally exist, but
Mm.
that's the game. I mean, it's like most of the writers saying, like, we when someone say, "Oh, it's you don't write much," is because like most of the thing they write just stay in their in their like in the office, not the what's the name, bureau, in the office, maybe. I don't know the word for that in English, like
Mm-hmm.
where all the all the all the synopses that you think that are not relevant enough to be spread. Same as music.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many demos that are like just like not not good enough to be presented.
Mm-hmm.
And so, sometimes, like, like, because I have a little record label, and so many artists send me demos and say, "Oh, okay, that's cool," and and ask if they have more. But anything that the one they send, even if they did 5 tracks in the live, that's the 5 best tracks, and this is it. Where, of course, you need to do a lot, and sometimes redo and sometimes reopen tracks you did like a few years before. And that's the beauty of technology. That's one thing that is possible nowadays.
Mm.
It's like you can reopen a track where there was just one good idea and delete all those things, just keep this idea. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
before, you were like recording, okay, they were like putting all the tapes together and matching them to do their mix. But yeah, that's one of the, sorry, it was not a question. But so
No, I
uh,
like this direction too.
so no, I think like yes, like, like, art brings me in positions and in projects that I would have never expected. This year I did like Orsay Museum, which, like, Musée d'Orsay is like one of my favorite museum in the world. It's like one of the 5 or 6 most visited museum in the world. Like, it's just I had no clue it was that. I knew it, of course, it's fun museum I knew, but I had no clue it was like so many people were going every day.
Mm.
The exhibition we did like 100,000 visitors or so, and it's just incredible for digital artists to be invited in such historical place where there is no digital art, where
Mm.
there is no screen, when actually it's only paints and sculpture. um, of course, I had to pay a legacy, and I have to pay like my respect to such an institution. And that's why I mean, we did 2 pieces, but the main one, the sculpture one, let's say, was uh, the topic was to show digital art without screen.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was like, that was a good challenge. I think when you ask me, like, um when it comes to, because I love to find roads that are maybe unknown but not taken yet. I love
Mm-hmm.
to experiment. That's also why I think I never did twice the same tracks. Is I could do like a very techno track, then very housed and chilled and soundtrack for a movie. This is what I love. Is some artists are very good to repeat and go very profound in one sound, and go to a point where they are mastering the sound, and it's just they did the same, but in the way like it's becoming like, wow, they master it. Where myself, when I'm in studio, the thing is, I want to try something different. This is my personality. I just want to okay, I did this and this. Now I want to try to do something different. I
Mm-hmm.
don't say one is better than the other one. I just say my personality is like that. And also, that's, I think, why also my art will be very diverse in the next years too. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure I will, like, develop things that are like also very different of what I did before. uh,
Mm-hmm.
not saying I will become a painter, because I mean, this is something very, when you go in this museum, we had a chance to spend night at Orsay Museum, and you're alone in the museum, and you see like all this masterpiece looking at you. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
wow. You're
Yeah.
like Renoir, Van Gogh, Monet, and, and really, it's the spirit to be alone in a room with all this um, result of amazing mastermind is something that was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine that was a really cool experience. Yeah, and just being part of the Musée d'Orsay and that history, and getting to experiment and bring something new, uh, to an institution like that. Um, what are you working on now?
That's a question. So there are few projects, and I prefer never to say before it go. For example,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it took 1 year and a half to happen. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's not that we arrive and in 2 months we did a project. They contacted me, and then we were thinking about directions, outputs, narratives, and we present to them, and we had like back and forth. So and then we had to sometimes we have ideas, but it's difficult to realize them. uh, Also mathematically, like the fact of doing this QR code that was like totally
Mm-hmm.
uh, physical, and where the light were actually drawing the QR code on the floor. Like if I don't know, like if for example, like, a visitor were touching it during the sheet, like for just 1 millimeter, it wouldn't work anymore.
Hmm.
So it has been like many challenges to happen, or to blow into your phone to make sure like most of the phone will manage to to actually show the piece. It has been so difficult.
I imagine.
Every update, I thought we were like, oh no, we have to start again. So that this take time. So
Yeah.
there are a few museums that have been in touch. So we're gonna do projects in museum in 2025,
Okay.
and in galleries. The thing is, same as my music, and I don't want to release too much. Like
Mm-hmm.
I only did like maybe 5 albums in 25 years of career of music, and um, so I don't want to overmint. Sometimes I'm like, this I need to, and then I realize, no, slow down, slow down, slow down.
Yeah. I
Also
understand the feeling.
because also because I think the Web3 and the crypto has been like struggling NFT space a bit the last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think this medium will last. There is no question. The medium will last. The word NFT will disappear. We will speak about numeric art or digital art or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
and we don't care actually about NFT words. The medium itself is the thing that is really important, and the fact that it enable artists to invent project, like for example, like the piece we did for the Art Museum, the one we mint on Object One, we are like um, infinite piece, and I like this kind of process.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have like one thing I would do for a few collectors now is I will do like a piece both in physical, both digital and physical, so you can have the NFT piece and the physical piece, because some of them like really wants to have like physical piece also.
Mm-hmm.
And this I can understand that, because I was starting to do photos and films before, mainly NFT digital art. So I do understand that sometimes you want to have like the one output that is not moving, that's not changing one piece.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good question. Like, should art evolve endlessly, or should art be fixed? I like that.
Hmm.
So like it's something that um, when you see a paint, I think you want to see the same paint, and sometimes when you see a photo, you want to see the same photo. But what we are doing actually challenge that, because it's also incredible that every morning you wake up and you have another output of what you get or what you collect, and it's two different approaches, and I think they are none of them are exclusive of the other one, and I think they cohabit quite well.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's a place for both types. Um, have you heard of the new Brian Eno documentary that's out?
No.
Um, they created this generative AI machine called Brain One, which is an anagram for Brian Eno, and they put in like I don't know exactly how much, but like hundreds of hours of like interview footage and different moments from his life. And then they programmed it to play a different documentary each time it's viewed.
But the documentary is by itself. It didn't mix the answers or the words or.
No. So they had, yeah, there were a bunch of editors who tagged all of this material, like all of this footage, and then programmed the AI to respond to cues that would happen throughout the film to take you in a certain direction with the film itself. So
Mm,
there was sort of some, creative curation to how it will manifest. And they actually used Brian Eno's oblique strategies, like the card deck that he created, in order to influence the direction. So there'll be like a few scenes where someone comes in, they draw a card, and it has some like, he's got like some profound like one-liners, like go outside or something, as kind of a means of helping to facilitate the creative process. So he would have people like David Byrne is one of the people who's in there pulling a card. Um, Laurie Anderson, I think, is in it. Um, and then each time that you go and see the documentary, it's different because that will change, the path that the AI is going to take in order to manifest the film. There's like 59 quintillion different versions or something that are possible.
I like this.
Um, yeah, it was really cool. I mean, now they're, but now it's kind of like this, they're struggling to understand how to release it to a wider audience. Like they've had a few viewings, like there's one in London, there's one in Copenhagen, I think, but they're, have been talking to streaming services, and, it's like, how can we make this available while still adhering, to the principles of why we're doing this, and sort of, the creative vision of wanting this to be different every time. Like you can't, load, their entire AI into the back end of like Netflix, for instance, and have a different viewing. So, um, yeah, it's an interesting question. You
Like
know,
it reminds me, and I had an idea the other day, but I don't think I will do this. Or, this is the amazing movie, The Clock. Did you see this movie? Did you watch it?
I
It's
don't
like
think so.
every
Yeah.
second or every like maybe 5 seconds, there is a clock of the time of the day.
Hmm.
So it means like every plan have the clock on 24 hours, showing the exact time at the time where you're watching it.
Huh.
This is incredible. And I was thinking that if for example, like similar process, if a generative machine could actually just endlessly show plans of movies where the clock is changing, but at the time you're watching it. So
Hmm.
for example, like now, if there were a clock here, it would be
Uh-huh.
like 11:29,
Uh-huh.
or for you maybe 10:29 if you're in
Yeah.
UK or anywhere.
Yeah.
No, so no, I like this, and also that's an, an idea. Experiment with music when I did this. When I collaborate with Bronze AI, where we actually did in endless versions of a song. So every time you press play, you have a new version of the song that
Hmm.
I don't know, that nobody knows before you press play. It doesn't exist before you press play. It exists because you listen to it. It's a bit a kind of quantic way of, because you have so many versions, but the time you press play, you visualize it, and it exists. And I quite like the fact that, again, you speak, of course, my version is on Spotify, so I have my artist
Right.
version. It's
Right.
not that, it's not like that the scam that I don't want to finish the track and I put all the stems, and then, okay guys, I'm bored, I was lazy, here are the stems, do the track for me. But I like the fact that it's becoming quite difficult to speak about a track where no one listened to the same version.
Hmm.
Because, like, you say, oh, do you like the chorus? Oh, I didn't have any chorus.
Yeah.
Or actually, I didn't have any voice, And, or for example, if you have 3 minute intro when there's one start with a beat straight.
Hmm.
I like this of course, it's showing a bit what's happening in live, actually, the live band while like changing and improvising on stage. I
Hmm.
think one of the major um, I think challenge for AI in artists um, is, I think, two things. Um, is first to get the ability to improvise with AI, not just waiting for the output latent result from a machine, but to be able to improvise with AI. I think that's something that um, That might be very interesting. And something also that let's never forget that it's fun to do music, make music,
Yeah.
and it's fun to paint. It's fun to
Hmm.
be photo because like fine prompts are amazing and you can do amazing results. I love to practice with this, but let's never forget that first of all it's a pleasure to make music,
Hmm.
and how amazing are the output, how amazing are the you do a prompt and you have a result, you're like, wow, okay, you're like astonished by this. But most of the time I'm astonished by something, but it doesn't last. Meaning like the output could be audio or visual. I'm like, wow. But then it doesn't last more than 5 minutes most of the time because it's maybe because I don't put enough effort in it in a way that my emotion and my affection for the piece visual or it's a bit faked. um I'm not saying that if you work a month on a track is better than if you work 2 days on a track. I think my best track are the one that I've done, let's say, very fast. Like when you have an idea and you don't know, cosmic energy, intuition, instinct, you do the track in 2 days and it's fantastic. When you struggle, I think sometimes it's bad. But there is a major difference between making a track in 2 3 days and doing a 5 second click. And I
Hmm.
think the emotion you have about this can't be the same. It can't be.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I guess the emotions are attached to to the effort and energy, like whatever your intuition, that moment that you had, with the piece of art.
For example, there are so many artists nowadays in music that just get ghost producers who make the music for them. They buy the tracks.
Yeah.
They go on stage. They have like three guys filming when they put the track, and they are actually building a fame from something that is irrelevant. Because I'm not saying, I mean, everyone can do whatever he wants, but I mean, the artist on stage missed the best part, the fun of making music. I'm
Hmm.
not even judging the marketing, the fact of building an artist fame, blah blah blah. I'm just saying, artists miss the best part. It's fun to make music. It's fun to create, and this is something that is the most obvious thing, but it seems to disappear more and more.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. There's nothing like, being in a room with the guitar or whatever, being on a piano and then all of a sudden discovering this thing that you didn't know was going to happen. And you just keep playing it over and over and over again because you keep wanting to experience, that one moment of magic. And it is interesting, what you're saying, because I have this myself, I'll write a song and it'll come together and then, for like a week, like, oh man, this thing's pretty good.
It's the
Like
best drug. It's the best drug.
but then after a week, it's like, oh, I'm tired of this. I'm like,
Hey, you get down.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it is interesting how quickly that changes. Um, cool. All right. At this point, I'd love to, transition into part two, where I ask you a few questions about your music listening habits. Um, So to begin, I'd love to ask, how you discover music today, and if you could answer through perhaps, who some of your favorite curators are, some of your favorite outlets or platforms that you spend time with.
So um, I'm quite lucky to receive so much music.
Hmm.
Meaning, I receive like I don't know, it's insane, insane amount of music, like every day from all promotion agencies, DJs, artists. So it's of course too much. We don't have the time to,
Mm-hmm.
but we know also two things, like promotion agencies guys know our taste. So sometimes they guide us saying, among all this amount of music, you should listen this and this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I just actually the cover of a record is very important for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of the time, a shit cover is a shit track. Doesn't say a good cover is a good track, but a shit cover is like 99% a shit track.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's I'm addicted to the white label thing. Every time someone sends me a white label, I have to listen to it because I don't know. When I started to buy records in record shop and there were no covers, it was just like white.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all and nothing, no information. So every time I'm thinking, I need to discover and listen this because I might miss it.
Yeah.
Um, also,
Yeah.
I love to go shopping by myself because even if we receive a lot of things, I love to go shopping by myself. And I like Phonica Records in London. Of course, I'm not living in London, but even the selection daily on their website is quite incredible. There are like also a lot of playlists from the guy working at the record at Phonica Records, and then you can really discover from dub, disco, bootleg, and house and everything. So many tracks that I wouldn't have received and then I wouldn't have discovered.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really like this. And and also I have to say that I love to listen to DJs before and after me because we all have few tracks that we discovered and are like and sometimes I'm like that's a very good one, like um last week 2 weeks ago I was playing in Saint Tropez and the guy from Indie Beach just introduced me to three young artists like 18, 19 years old, and they send me the demos and they are so good. So it's very various. There is a part of a networking, like
Mm-hmm.
there's a part of the real business promotion agencies, and there is the digging thing that is the best thing. But I really listen badly music, if I'm honest, like a DJ, like
Mm-hmm.
like with vinyl, like you put the needle on the record and in 2 seconds you know if it's for you or not. You don't need to listen to the full track. You just sound the way in 2 or 3 seconds you know if it's something that's gonna be for you or for my ears or not.
Mm. Yeah. Um,
But
do
also
you,
being surrounded by people who love music
I mean, that
makes
helps a lot.
it helps a lot. I was in Tokyo last week and I was in the car. I tell you the artist, I didn't know that, and I was like, wow, that's so beautiful. Um, Caralis Coverdale. I didn't know this artist.
Right.
It's she's a woman and I spent listening Caralis Coverdale like all records
Mm.
the last days.
Yeah.
It's also the beauty of it, like when you discover something and you're like, how did I miss that? And then you start to dive in the history of this artist, and I love this. But
Yeah.
my favorite artist ever is Mark Ernestus.
Really.
Yeah, from Berlin. It's my both because of his music and also because of who he is, what he did,
Mm.
and we still here. Who is still the same person, today. And I think without him, without Mad Mike, without this kind of character, electronic music would have never been what it is.
Mm.
So yeah, I have a lot of respect for him.
Cool. Um, when you were talking about that moment, with this new artist that that you just discovered, it's kind of a similar feeling to when you create something yourself, and you hear it and you stumble upon it and you're like, wow, I can't believe that this now exists in the world, in my world, and I get to spend time with it. Um, yeah, and it's also nice knowing that there are, hundreds and thousands of artists and like pieces of music out there just waiting still to be discovered, to give us that experience. It's just a matter
And
of
sometimes,
time and
like,
like knowing the right person, basically.
no, sorry, you are right. Sometimes you're like, oh, I wish I had the idea to make this track.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. But then at the same time, like I'm so grateful that this track exists, like this thing exists in the world.
How do you
Uh,
discover music yourself?
Good question. Um, quite a bit through friends. And I also have a lot of friends who make music or are just music heads. And as a music journalist, I'm also on a lot of PR lists and things like that. So I'm also getting a lot of those. I discover a lot of music through this interview series.
That's good. That's good.
It's like the best perk.
There is also this great website. I was just checking, like Boomcat. I really like Boomcat.
hmm Yeah, Boomcat's cool. Yeah, I mean, I used to do a lot of music discovery through blogs and spend a lot of time with different blogs, but that era has kind of ended a bit. But
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it was a great era. I think unfortunately we don't have that resource anymore because it provided
Do
not
you go to
just
Bandcamp?
what, sorry?
Are you traveling through Bandcamp um, a lot or not much?
Yeah, I spend time in Bandcamp, and I also get emails like from all of the different labels and artists that I've ever purchased, through Bandcamp, and that's another way that is helpful in knowing, like, like Ski Mask, for instance, just came out with a new record, and getting notified because I love Ski Mask, and after, what's it called, Compro, his last record. So these little notifications I actually quite like because they feel curated to me and are actually coming directly, from an artist, in the case of Bandcamp, and it doesn't feel as like platform oriented as, like, getting a notification from Spotify or something like that, for instance. So yeah, Bandcamp's definitely part of the process as well, but I think it's mostly talking to people, I think, is where it comes from. Like, I'm
Mhm.
definitely going to check out all the artists that you've mentioned.
It's very chill. It's very chill. It's very ambient, and but no, I really like it.
Cool. Um, okay, if you can remember, what's the first album you ever purchased, and then what is the most recent?
The first album. So I purchased because I was playing because I didn't have so much money, so I was playing all the radio contests. When you have to call the
Mm-hmm.
radio
Mm-hmm.
because okay, in 5 minutes we're gonna make you win this. So I was already online, holding the line just to get a record. So I
Yeah.
think I have a few albums like this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think KLF maybe the KLF maybe has been one of the first one, and all the inner city thing also. I don't know which one was the first one, but yeah, I think that was maybe the very first one. The first vinyl of the single was Inner City.
Mm-hmm.
It was Big Fun. That was the very first one I bought. So of course, when Kevin Saunderson asked me to remix it 15 years after, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna remix it. It was
Yeah.
just incredible too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like if you buy a Madonna and it's your first record and Madonna call you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
so
yeah.
no, that was the very first one. But maybe also if in techno, maybe the waveform transmission from Jeff Mills, the volume one, or this kind of thing.
Mhm. Cool. And what's the most recent album that you purchased?
Um, I need to go to my playlist because we have so much record. It's terrible. But I would say I didn't purchase it but I would say it's the Caralis one because I listen so much this one.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it would be like that's what I listen whole all day yesterday traveling from Ibiza.
Cool. Um, awesome. And okay. So who are here's the next question. Who are three artists of note that you heard for the first time in the past year or so?
Okay, let me go to my playlist. Oh, I discover actually one thing I discovered on the Phonica website. It's a cover of Yeke Yeke of Morikante by a
Mm,
Chinese artist named Priscilla Chan.
cool.
No, and this is an amazing cover. What a great one. Um, so this one, um, I really like Notion.
Notion.
Yeah, I really
Okay.
like from TV Dreams. Yeah, I think it's an amazing one. TV Dreams Notion is really good. Um, what I need to give you a third one, right?
Yeah, one more.
Hmm. Could be every kind of music.
Yeah, any type of music, just yeah, just any artist that you discovered.
I really like because I was like a jury of a prize in Josephine Prize in France, which we are every year 10 artists to choose.
Hmm.
So artists together are choosing like journalists are doing a random selection of 400 albums, and we are like from all their selection we are just picking 10. And one album that I really like is the album of Leon Fall. Fuck yeah, is like the track I really like.
Okay, cool.
But
Uh,
three is really because now I'm in my playlist and it's like
I know, I know. Once you open the playlist, like, oh shit, there's the oh that there's this oh yeah yeah this too.
it's like the Nikon B challenge, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Speaking of challenges, now, yeah. Here's the last question, and it's yeah the biggest challenge of them all.
Oh
Um,
my god. Okay, I'm getting
you're going to a desert island, and you get to bring three albums with you. What are they?
um, am I going by myself or can I bring my wife?
I don't think anyone's ever asked to bring a, bring a friend slash partner. Let's say that you're,
So if you bring your wife, you want an album to make love.
yeah, that's true. Okay.
Otherwise this one you
Well, yeah, let's say
would
that
bring it. Otherwise it's too frustrating.
you and your wife were stranded together, so you get to, but you have to choose the records.
Okay. I think I would take a George Benson album. I think I would take uh, maybe like a compilation of Rhythm and Sound or like a Mark Anestus affiliate dub minimal reggae album because it's what maybe I will bring this endless TV Victor song Agai, which is a 45 or maybe an hour. It's just one song where it's a loop where it's evolving very subtly and it's
Mm,
just incredible. TV Victor Agai, I think it's a one concept song, but such a great one.
cool.
And the third one would be TV Victor is an alias of Mark Anistus.
Okay.
Um, the third one would be hmm, so I took the one for the sensuality. I took the one who give me peace. So now one for the joy. Uh, I mean, the George Benson funk could also be the one for the joy. Maybe what could it be? Maybe one for party. Maybe I will take. Mm, I think I will take a Cal Craig album
Mm,
on top of
which
it.
one?
Detroit Experiment, maybe.
Okay, cool. Nice. Good choices, I think.
I mean, choices, but then tomorrow morning would have been pretty different. So
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's an impossible question. It's gonna change all the time. Um, cool. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Sebastian.
thanks for having me. It was very, very, very fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I really enjoyed it as well. For those listening, who want to check out your art, your music, everything that you're doing, where's a good place to follow along?
Um, I mean, I have a website, agoria.div. I think it's not very updated yet, but now I will update it.
Okay, perfect. So go there. Um, cool. And now that you've been through For the Record, who is another music head that comes to mind that we should have on the show?
Oh, you should definitely have Mark Anistis.
Okay.
And you should definitely do a 1 hour, 30 minutes because Mark is speaking slowly.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note
Mark,
for
every word of Mark is consciously chosen.
Cool. I appreciate that. Gonna make a note for 90 minutes here.
Yes. And maybe it will be 2 hours.
Yeah, well, that's all right. That's all right. I'll make sure I clear my calendar.
Much
Cool,
to you.
Sebastian. Well, thanks so much for for your time and especially just getting back from Ibiza, being on here and connecting about music and art. I really enjoyed it.
See you soon.
All right, man. Take care.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Thanks everyone for being here. That's a wrap on another episode of For the Record, a conversation series with all manner of music heads about their stories and the music that makes them. It's a production of Grey Matter and a new Crate Coalition experiment in building connective listening graphs. We stamp every music mention you heard here, from musicians to venue owners to journalists to tech builders to DJs, and in the background, we're mapping these names to form those yet unseen connective threads between people. Want to get involved? You can check out our website at greymatter.fm or come hang out in the Crate Coalition Discord. See you next time.